Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Zach. I am a creative director at a audiology cooperative.
Okay, nice. Awesome, awesome. And what is your job title or kind of your job description?
Yeah, so as a creative director, my job is to basically develop and produce all sorts of content from social media to videos to graphic design and physical pamphlets and banners and everything as far as like marketing or creativity goes. It's kind of my department and my responsibility to make that happen for the cooperative.
Okay, awesome. And how long have you been doing that? Like working just in the creative space in general?
Yeah, so I went to college for this, and that was uh, graduated in 2020 and started working as a videographer at a nonprofit immediately after that. So I've been doing professional creativity stuff, which is like video or what I'm doing now for the last 6 years.
Okay, nice. So if I were to like shadow you for a day, like an 8-hour work day, what would we be doing? Like what are the specifics of your day-to-day job?
Yeah, so all the jobs I've had have had a lot of flexibility, which is nice. So at my current role, I get to have a hybrid work environment. So some days I work at home, some days I work at a coffee shop, some days I go to the office. It kind of really depends, just kind of what the day needs. So on a day like today, you would have seen me wake up around, a little earlier than normal, like 6:30, and then get ready to go to my coworker's house for breakfast that they had. Everyone brought like a small breakfast, and we hung around. It was a Fort Wayne team, so even though we did that, there's a global team around us, so it's not just the people in Fort Wayne that work with me, but it was the people in Fort Wayne that got breakfast today. We hung around. There's probably about 10 of us. We played a quick game of guess when these people got married, where people brought in a photo of their wedding. And then the rest of us had to guess what year they got married. And this was all to honor my boss who just got married last weekend. So
Nice.
that was kind of the reason behind it. But so that was my morning. It transitioned to going into the office for a little bit, where I connected with my team. I work with 3 really talented videographers who are the staff of my department. And so touch base with them to make sure they had what they needed for the day. Got them ready for the projects that they were coming up, and let them ask any questions that they needed. So just try to be available for them throughout the day and make sure they're equipped to do their job as best as possible. And then that just led to some other conversations with other departments as far as like we're doing a website revamp right now. So I spent time on the computer getting website stuff ready. There was an emergency with a thing that wasn't actually my department that people thought was my department because there's some gray lines with us and another organization as far as just responsibilities. And this was like, hey, why did this picture have an AI hearing aid in it? And it was like, I don't know. I didn't post it. I didn't make it. Let me see if I can delete it. And I was able to put out that fire, even though it had nothing to do with my department. So, yeah, that was my day. And then went to a coffee shop after the office and had a meeting there and came here.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not an average day, but there really never is an average day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good to know. And as you were kind of describing your day, it sounds like you're kind of managing people, putting out fires, helping like delegate different projects. Would you say as a creative director, would you say you do more creating or more directing?
That's a really good question. I would say most of my career has been creating, like video creation, graphics creation, et cetera, et cetera. My degree is in media production, so video production was mostly what that was. But currently in this role, it is a lot more directing. So making sure the pieces are in the right places for people to be as successful as possible. I'm not always the person behind the camera or the person editing. I still do that occasionally. I still jump in when we need an extra capacity or something urgent or, whatever the reason. Sometimes I still jump in, but my day to day right now is more so just here are the logistics. Here are the pieces you have. Make it happen. So supporting my team to get what they need, and then supporting the cooperative to make sure it gets what it needs.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, because whenever I think of a creative director, I think of more of the creating and kind of managing these projects and being really hands in. But it makes sense that you're kind of hands off, kind of helping support the people who you're working with, or I guess working under you. So it's very interesting. I'd never thought about that before. And would you say, when it comes to that specific role, creative director, do you think that most people kind of misunderstand that aspect of it? Less creating, more directing? Or do you think that's pretty straightforward going into it?
A lot of people just don't know what I do. My own family is still confused on it, and I think that's fine. I would say it's a little different. Like, this might be one of those roles where it looks different at my company versus another company. So there is some, there's a sliding scale of what this job looks like, as far as how hands-on you are. The position that I'm in now, the company doesn't need me to do, 50 videos this year. The company needs my videographers to do, 50 videos this year. So my time is better spent making sure that they're equipped to do their jobs. As far as like people being confused about what I do, is that really,
like, what do they misunderstand or not fully, like, what's the picture that's not always painted?
I don't sell hearing aids, which is a rumor going around my family. I don't know who started. Probably my dad started that. I don't know anything about hearing aids. I just help the people who fit people for hearing aids and do hearing healthcare. Like, it's more than hearing aids, but I help them promote their small businesses. I help recruit new audiologists to us. So that's really what I'm doing. So there's some confusion with that. It's a weird job, really. I mean, it kind of is. The cooperative structure is strange. People are not familiar with that. So we're member owned, meaning my bosses are the people that I'm serving the private practices, and they are all co-owners of this company, but they're also my clients. So like, they pay for my marketing services if they need it. But we also have free support that we give them for other things. And so it is kind of confusing ultimately. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Appreciate that. So walk me through, you had mentioned you had went to college. That's kind of how you started, because then you started working in a role in 2020. So we'll kind of walk me through a little bit more in detail what that process looked like. So where you started as 18 going to college and where you are now.
Yeah. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was thinking I was going to be like a teacher, because I just had only been exposed to one job, and it was the teachers through high school and middle school. So I was planning on being a teacher when I was 17. At the time I was in theater and doing stuff like that, Model UN, improv. And there was one morning where my theater teacher and I were at this 5 a.m. radio show promoting something. And she looked at me and she's like, "What are your plans for college?" I was like, "I'm thinking about going to teaching." And she looked at me and she's like, "Have you ever thought of communications?" And I was like, "No." But that was enough for me to actually look at the college's website for the first time of what programs they offered. And one of the degrees was called telecommunications, and that was turned into media production. So when I looked for the communications major, I saw telecommunications. I didn't even know this was a job. And maybe naively, I thought, since they have a degree in it, surely there's jobs. So, and I think a lot of people that go for, maybe more niche degrees might find out that that's not always the case. Just because they're selling you a degree doesn't mean you're automatically going to have a job. I was lucky that I had professors along the way who really showed me what the job market looked like in media production. So by the time I was graduating, I realized quickly, I don't want to do movies. I don't want to do freelance. I'm going to find a corporate job and make corporate videos because I really enjoy that. I like telling other people's stories. So graduated during COVID, got a job at a nonprofit. Was really a cool experience because the first year was 30 videos and 12 months. We did 30 nonprofit videos for 30 different nonprofits, and all of it was free. It was covered by a grant. And my conversation was, once that runway runs out, you might not have a job. We'll see. So it was a little bit of limbo, but I performed. We got the videos done. And then my boss left. And I was like, so what's going to happen? Am I going to have a job? And he's like, you'll see with the next guy. And the next guy was a horrible, horrible man, who was a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing. Really, I didn't gel well with him, after the facade kind of fell apart. I was just talking about someone, with someone today. I had a lot of clarity with my first boss. I knew exactly what my job was. I had clear direction. And then this new guy comes in, and every week, maybe every day, he would change the direction. And so I was like a plastic bag in the wind for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Shout out Katy Perry. And so yeah, it was a tough transition, going from a job I loved to a job that was like, do you love this anymore? And I was like, I love the mission. It was a great nonprofit. I love the people I worked with, like coworker wise, but, I found where my limit was, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So, applied to another job. I worked in a mortgage company for a year after that. Just as a way to kind of, I could go home and I didn't have to care about my job. I could just do work, and I didn't have to be, told I'm not a good enough Christian because I, don't obsess over this one guy and his ego and all this stuff. So there's a lot of trauma to unpack over that year, but it got me to the point where now, 12 months later, I had a conversation with this woman who runs this company I'm at currently, and she's like, we want you on our team. So it worked out. Like, ultimately, I don't think I would have had this role now if it weren't for the things I learned at those first two places, the nonprofit and the mortgage company. It really prepared me to see, like, oh, I can do client work. I can do the logistics. I don't always need to be behind the camera, but like I'm very skilled at getting a video produced well for people. And a lot of this is really just coming back to, like, what people want is, like, they need someone to tell them in video, in my market. They need someone to tell them, like, hey, this is possible. This is impossible. What do you really want? They need someone to ask them questions. Cause a lot of times people get into videos and they're like, I don't really know what I want. So my job is basically, if you boil it all down, who is this for? Do you know your audience? When do you want it? How much money do you want to spend? How many locations do you want to go to? It's just answering those really basic questions over and over and again, because it might be my 100th time doing it, but it's maybe their first time ever talking about video. So, that's what a lot of my job boils down to now. So that's a very long-winded, what I've done the last 4 years.
Yeah. Maybe long-winded, but very practical. Yeah. I think people who are wanting to step into a role like yours, like, the path isn't always necessarily clear. And that's kind of the reason behind this podcast, is to help show the practical side of getting to where you might want to be. So that's very helpful. And you had mentioned asking those questions. So, okay, like, you've done it for 100 times, whereas this person's stepping into wanting to make a video for their organization or whatever, and they're doing it for the first time. So how have you learned to kind of navigate those conversations? Because from my point of view, obviously I haven't done your job before, but it might be a little bit frustrating when somebody thinks they know best or they know exactly what they want, and you have to kind of navigate those situations, do a little conversational jujitsu. So walk me through, like, how you learned to navigate those.
Yeah, it's definitely some trial and error. You assume when you are, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but when you are an expert on something, you sometimes assume everyone else around you is. So you become like, it's just someone that assumes, I know it. They should know it. So that's not the attitude to have, but it can be easy to have. My job is to kind of remind myself, like, this person might not know. So, even if they worked with me a bunch of times, like, I still have to ask the same questions. They get easier and they see the results. So they see that it pays off. But, my process is really, like, my job is to frame their vision with reality. So asking those same 5 questions. What was the question? I have to have jujitsu,
conversational jujitsu. So like walking through like the different ways to handle maybe some of the friction in working with somebody who obviously all of us have ideas in our head and what we want to see it happen, but practically, logistically, that doesn't always happen. It's like, how do you navigate through some of that?
Definitely. I mean, really, my job is to give them what they want. So if they want a $50 million Avatar movie, okay, like give me $50 million and we can do it. Yeah. But most of the time, the people I'm working with are like, oh, can we do like a $3,000 corporate video? Sure, we can do that. And if there ever is like upset feelings by the end product, like my job is for them to be completely aware of what their video is going to be by the time they get it delivered. Answer all their questions, make sure they're aware, like, hey, with your budget, with your timeline, you're only going to get a video that's going to be X, Y, and Z. You're not going to get A, B, C, D, E, F. Like, you're only going to get this. So just over communicating that. The only time there's really frustrations is if I don't do my job in like the prep. So someone asks, and this happens a lot of times with coworkers instead of like clients, because sometimes the requests are a little bit more random and maybe not as high priority because they're not paying. They're just coworkers. Not just coworkers, but you know what I mean? So these projects are like, hey, Zach, I need this very specific thing. Here's all the details. And then I won't follow up. I'll just be like, I think I know what they need. So I go and do it, and then I deliver it, and then it's like, that's not what I needed. And the first email that they sent to me were pretty clear about one thing, but they might have left out some other things. And that's my responsibility to figure out what they left out, because they're not doing it every day. So they don't know exactly the lingo or whatever it is. So really, if I skip that pre-production work, before the work starts work, then things fall apart. But that happens less and less. If you learn from your mistakes, which you know, there's plenty of mistakes to learn from.
As you do it more, you get more comfortable and confident in doing it. Makes a lot of sense. So let's pivot back to kind of the day-to-day aspects of your job. So walk me through, like, what does a good day look like in your role?
I don't know how sarcastic I'm allowed to be on this podcast. After being in such a bad place for so long, and to the listener, Ryan and I worked together for this bad place, and it's changed since then, so thank goodness. But I truly was unhappy for so long in my job, to the point where I was like, I can't work for 40 more years like this. I can't work for another month like this. And hitting, you know, what I would consider like a career rock bottom at a place that I was prepared to work for forever. Like, I loved it. I loved the mission, loved everyone. But being so unhappy and putting up with such garbage and like a really toxic work environment, it's easy for me. And one more thing. And during that time, being told you have it as good as you'll ever have, you will never find a better boss than me. You'll never have a better place to work than here. And like believing a lot of that, not the boss thing, because obviously he was a horrible boss, but believing like I will never find a better place to work.
Getting very comfortable, maybe,
because it was the first real job I had after college, where I was working like as an adult. And when I saw other people's jobs, I was like, I don't know if I can do an office job, like, because I had a lot of flexibility at the nonprofit, and ultimately working through that horrible work environment for so long showed me like I can get through the bad stuff, and the bad stuff that I have to get through now is like not even bad, like in comparison. So
interesting.
Like, truly, I've had knock on wood, the worst days of my career have like in my first job. So yeah, just in comparison, like, it's not that bad. Like my worst day is like, I don't know, it feels like a job. Like on the best days, it feels like, oh, I get paid to do this, which is great. Like, doing videos paid for my house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's paying for my house. My house is not paid off.
You get to do it vocationally.
Yeah, like it's a passion. It's not a job on the best days.
Yeah.
And on the worst days at this place, it's a job.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like that's what it is. It is a job. On the worst days of the nonprofit, it was,
a lot of mission drift, a lot of friction, a lot of different ideas. Yeah.
It was like spiritual, like manipulation and just gross stuff that shouldn't be in your workplace. If you're at a workplace like that, quit.
Yeah.
Like you'll be fine. I mean, you might not be, might not be immediately like at a better place, but like take the leap.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Especially when you don't necessarily have anything to compare it to necessarily. Because coming out of college, like, experience is the best professor. Obviously, that's just a quote, not necessarily, but like experience will teach you.
You came up with that?
Yeah, like just within the last 3 seconds.
That's great. You should write that down.
Maybe I should get a Twitter account. Anyways.
Do a podcast, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I should start a podcast. We'll see. I don't know. But like, as you have those experiences, you learn more. And as you face that friction, it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier. So like, I see that year of your life as kind of preparing you for this now director role. Because if you hadn't gone through kind of all those challenges and kind of that mess, who knows how like you would have been able to help manage people and put yourself in their shoes who you're helping manage. And
for sure. Yeah. This is not probably a healthy approach to it, but like it's twofold. It's when I work with my coworkers, it's, am I the boss I would want in their situation? And like, if not, like I need to pivot. And second, am I anything like my old boss? And if I'm like that, it's like, and from my perspective, I'm not, cause I don't work out. And I'm not like a bald, horrible man. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of good insight, especially like, so in your past.
Sorry, is he going to get a copy of this podcast?
I mean, it'll be out there. It'll be out there.
You?
It's called Candid Careers, so we're being candid right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that was a whole different season at the nonprofit. I think there's a lot of different opinions and perspectives and all that fun stuff. But your experience, that's what you
the right
through.
Experience, the correct perspective,
the lore experience.
Yeah,
like what you went through, I think helped shape you into who you are like now.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean it's not painful. Like that's pretty painful to walk through.
It's one of those things where it's like you say, I wouldn't be where I am without this. True.
Yeah.
I think another experience could have also shaped me and gotten me this role. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to always be unhealthy to grow.
Yeah. No, that's a good point to bring up. Yeah.
So if you're in an unhealthy situation, like, make the best out of it and like grow from it. But like you can grow in a good situation too.
Knowing when to leave and when to step back. Even if it's a healthy work environment, but you're just not quite feel like you're growing, or if it's just like, if you feel constantly drained, even if it is healthy, like knowing when to step back and step away, I think is important.
100%. I think the approach I've had to it has always kind of been a little conservative as far as like job moving. I was in therapy when I was at the nonprofit, and one of the things I was talking about was like, I can't quit my job because I don't have anything else lined up. Like I was at an apartment at the time, and like I was like, I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. I wouldn't be able to pay my car. Like, so the financial burden, like I didn't have financial freedom to be able to do any of that. Most people in America don't have financial freedom to just jump into the next thing. And I'm not saying to do that if it's a bad like situation like that. But when I made that decision to quit that job and start looking, it was like a 180. I was like, okay, I'm going to do my job, the bare minimum, and then full time find another job. Like I'm going to apply everywhere I can, have interviews. And then once that was lined up, I was able to transition, like take the step. Like it wasn't really a leap because it was literally a job offer. You start in 2 weeks, like kind of thing. I was able to easily do that because I had something lined up. I think a lot of people are afraid to search when they're in bad situations. And I think it's a really good idea to have an updated resume wherever you go. Once a quarter, even if you love your job. Like I loved the nonprofit when I started. If I had, kept my resume a little bit more updated and might have been able to leave when it got bad a little quicker. So keeping an updated resume, always kind of be looking. Like I truly love where I'm working now. It is amazing. I do not want another job. Yeah. That being said, like having those skills to know, like if the thing stopped growing, if I stopped enjoying my work, if I became a bitter person, like knowing to take that leap, you should know when to take that leap.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And that's something, it's a skill. You have to figure that out. I don't have it perfect. Yeah. But I'd recommend having something else lined up to make that transition easier. Yeah. Unless it's really bad, then who cares? You'll figure it out.
Yeah, there you go.
Mostly, probably.
Play it by ear.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but
yeah. I think humans have short memories sometimes. Like I think we often think that this next step is super scary. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. And we end up taking it, and 5 years down the road, we forget what even the step looked like or where we were transitioning to. So yeah, a lot of good insight. And I'd say, so it sounds like and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like kind of in your career field, there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to finding a job or finding positions. Is that true, or how does that kind of compare?
That's a good question. I've been very, very blessed with the opportunities that I've had. I'm not saying my situation is like the standard that people have. People who go freelance videography and don't go into like more of like the marketing side of things, which was a decision I made at my last job, was like to kind of focus more on the distribution side of things, like the marketing side of things, instead of just the video production side of things. If you do focus on just doing that, if you're freelance, if you're, a PA on some movie set or something, yeah, every day is uncertain. You get hired from a job every month. You get fired from a job every month, because that's just what freelance is, but not the life for me. My job is pretty stable as far as like being a corporate person, because if the company exists and they want a videographer or they want a marketing person, they'll hire one. So I'm able to find those. There's not a lot always hiring. But there's places hiring, somewhere. A lot of remote jobs opening up now, which is helpful. But the market we're in, there's things pop up. Like set a LinkedIn alert if you're unhappy with your job. Like set the parameters of like, if a job at this salary doing this kind of work pops up, you get an email, like do that. Tailor your resume to your job that you're applying for. Don't send the same thing. Cover letters still help. Do all the things. And ultimately, knowing people helps too. Like I met with my company that I'm at now 4 years ago, while I was still at the nonprofit, and they wanted to hire me then, but I just wasn't ready to make the change. I went into that meeting thinking they wanted a video. They wanted to hire me as like a full-time person, and it didn't work out. Because I said no. And, sometimes opportunity comes like in random places, but like, I didn't think that 4 years later they would come back to me and say, hey, are you sure? And then I was like, yeah, no, I'm not sure. Let me come over. But it was because I like had a random coffee conversation 4 years ago that they brought it back up. So networking is important, even if it is kind of miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just sometimes awkward, but
yeah. Like this. Sometimes you have to do podcasts.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do podcasts
about your very limited career. If you call it a career, I mean, it's
your journey. I mean, even though it's like called Candid Careers, I think we're all in different journeys and different job fields.
Yeah.
And I think like your perspective, I really appreciate, because you've been doing it for what, 2020, 6 years.
6 years.
Like that's nothing. Like you haven't been doing it. No.
You are insignificant,
You
Zach.
do nothing at all, Zach. No, but like in the grand scheme of things, like 6 years compared to like some people's 10 years at jobs, like you're wading through kind of some of those beginning steps.
Sure.
But you've also done it long enough to know and kind of have a gauge of where the industry and like where the job market
Sure.
is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome. I'm just
This is
gonna,
awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. But kind of going back to kind of your day to day is like, what's something that you feel in this job or kind of just in this vein of creative, like marketing and creativity, what do you feel like drains you the most?
Useless meetings. I hate a useless meeting. I hate a long email thread.
All the things people meme about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that stuff is real and it's horrible. I don't really get too drained at my current job because the people I work with are really good people. Like even when, we might have different visions or we might disagree on certain things, everyone I work with has the heart of a servant to like make the place we are at better, to like ultimately, like a lot of people, what we do is trying to help the world like hear better.
Yeah.
We work with a nonprofit that does that. We do that. Like we're lowering the cost of hearing aids for our private practices who are able to give their their patients better hearing aids and better service and better like everything. And money is not a motivator for like genuinely, I can't think of a single person that owns a private practice where that is the sole motivator or like even really the secondary, like it is to help people. Yeah. And that is true with all my coworkers, where like their job is like they are there because they want to help people. So even when we disagree, their heart is in the right place. So it's really easy to just like what would be very, very like difficult to deal with would be if people only cared about money or cared about making themselves look good, a la my old boss. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm sure I get burnt out in some areas, but ultimately like I'm so refreshed by the good people that I work with that like it's fine to sometimes have a day where it's just a job.
Yeah. That's the way I think like our generation, because like you're like
Gen Alpha,
Gen Alpha or whatever, Gen Asparagus or whatever.
Yeah,
is like we're starting to value more of the company culture and kind of the people we work with and kind of like that positive like
work-life balance.
Yeah. Yep. Like it's just a job. Like you show up, you clock in, clock out. And obviously not all jobs are like that, but I think there is more of an appreciation of kind of that clock in, clock out.
There's a subreddit called r/anti-work. And I am not someone who is anti-work, but boy howdy, do I agree with a lot of like the philosophy on like the philosophy on work-life balance. Like I don't think this would happen in my current company, but 99% of places, if this is a morbid example, but if you died tomorrow, they would have your position by the end of the day. So take your 2 weeks, go be with your family, like, cause your company doesn't care about you. My company cares about me.
Yeah.
I mean, like corporations, America might disagree because of some corporations aren't people. So like they don't care, but the people that I work with care, and that's great. And there's probably people are going to listen to this like, oh man, things are going to fall apart. He's going to be like they're a family. No, we're not a family. We're coworkers.
Yeah.
We're coworkers who like each other. You're not family with your people you work with unless you're literally their family.
Mom and pop story.
Exactly. But they're my good friends. I've always had good friends where workplaces, but that's not my entire life. Your work shouldn't be your entire life from my perspective.
Yeah.
If that's what fulfills you, great.
Yeah.
It doesn't for me. Like I want to hang out with my dog. I want to play pickleball. And, it's not all about work.
Yeah. I think having that boundary between friend and coworker, obviously coworkers can be best friends, but in most situations,
like
coworkers, exactly. We're not friends at all.
Oh no, I meant we were best friends.
Oh yeah.
I guess a difference of opinion there, Ryan.
But say we had two very different experiences, but like having that boundary and knowing that dynamic of that relationship is huge. And like in your role, when you are managing people,
Mm-hmm.
like I can kind of see how that would be huge as well. How have you navigated kind of that boundary?
Like friends versus coworker.
Exactly. Especially when you are like,
Sure.
I don't know what the right word is, but like you're their boss in some senses and
Well,
like
yeah,
they're
like
reporting to you.
And I like to say coworker because I hate when people are like, oh, they work for me. Like, I think that's kind of trashy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah, they work in my department. I as an employee have always like I'm friendly, like not in like a brag way. I'm friendly to people.
Yeah, you're very outgoing, like very easy to get along with.
I don't know if that's accurate, but I become friends with people that I work with a lot of times. So that's still happening now. Like it's a different relationship with people that report directly to me. Like I'm not going to be the person initiating like a best friendship with my employees because I think that's an inappropriate line to cross. But I have been really good friends with my boss before because I have like, you know, participated in that friendship from, you know, that employee perspective. And my boss and I had fun at work, but it wasn't like we were hanging out outside of work. I have fun with the people I work with who work like in my department. We did an escape room together. Like we do things and we're friendly. But as far as like becoming best friends with an employee, that might work for some people. I don't think I am the right person to initiate that. I'm definitely friendly. We joke, we laugh, like truly, like, you know, we're friends, but not best friend. No offense to my employees if you're listening to this. And then the same with my coworkers. Like, yeah, we're friends, like as coworkers. A lot of times what happens is if you leave a job, you don't always stay as close with the people you work with. Like there's a difference between a work friend and a, you know, non-work friend. And I've been lucky where a lot of my friends at work have also became real friends. Like, you know, Josh, no, you guys, you and, you know, everyone, but yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does answer the question. A lot of good context.
Your audience is gonna be like, he didn't answer the question.
What is he even talking about?
Why does he hate his people he works with? Why is he not
friends
with them?
I want to be friends with him.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm also the same kind of guy who like, I've gone to a casino once right before COVID and God was like, don't do that. And he shut down the world. But no, you're
the reason.
I was down to like $10 or $15 and my last hand of blackjack. And I got it back up to like $300. I'm like, oh my goodness. But there was a guy at the table who was teaching us how to play blackjack. And as we left, I was like, you know, I offhandedly called him a friend to the guy who was actually really good friends with at the casino. And he's like, you don't know that guy. It's like, oh, well, he's my friend. My friend at the table. It's like, you don't know that guy. You know, I didn't know him, but he was my friend at the table. These are my friends at the
He'll teach you blackjack.
Yeah, these are my friends at work.
Well, I think like keeping the like two separate is like pretty huge because sometimes those personal dynamics can bleed into work and kind of hinder your ability to work well with each other.
Yeah. Like making someone pick up your kids from school or drop them off or mow your own lawn or deal with like your personal baggage or use gift cards to fill up your gas or put new siding on your house using like the company credit card. You might have to bleep all of that.
Dude,
you might have to bleep.
Well, I think like being a little bit too, hesitant to use that word, but just knowing where the lines are and when you're like developing too much of a like comfortable relationship to where then that leaves doors open to take advantage or kind of to take
and that's where like I literally think, am I asking my employee to do this as a friend? Okay, that's not a job. I can't ask him to do that during work hours. Can I ask him to edit? Like one of our videographers just did a friend's wedding outside of work. Great. You can ask him to do that, but he paid him outside of work. So like there's those boundaries. Boundaries are a good thing. People think boundaries, oh no, I'm in trouble, or like people thrive when they know where the edges of of what the boundary is.
Mhm.
I'm not saying never break a boundary, but just like, but do so in a healthy way.
Yeah.
For me, like I love it. I love a direction. I love a goal, and that's a boundary to me. Like
Mhm.
I can get to this goal by going this direction.
Expectations, put in a different way too. Yeah. When you know your expectations, you know what's expected of you, obviously.
Great.
We also
You should
know,
write
like,
that
yeah, I should put that on Twitter.
Yeah, get that.
But we also know what's not expected of you, or like kind of what doesn't fit into that realm.
What do you mean by that?
So, like, if you're expected to create a video, this is going to be, I'm
Sure.
coming off the
Great.
seat of my pants or whatever the thing is.
The
playing
seat
by
of your
ear.
pants you're
Yeah,
coming off
seat of
of?
my coat. I don't know. But like, if you're expected to create a video about hearing aids and like going to like another country and kind of doing a clinic there, and you don't do it, then obviously you didn't do as expected of you. So you know what's on. I guess a better way to put it is you know what's on mission or what's off of mission.
Sure.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
long walk for a short drink of water, but at the end of the day,
Wow, you are
we made it.
chock full of these really great. Have you thought about doing a book?
I actually, somebody called it like Ryanisms or something like that back in high school.
Yeah, they were making fun of you, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm also
I mean,
making
hey,
fun of
brought me to where I am today.
you. Yeah,
No regret.
and in this
No
basement
regrets.
with me.
In this random studio. No,
Uh,
but yeah, that's really, that was an interesting conversation. I think it talks a lot about what we were talking about before.
yeah,
Is like how to manage the different dynamics as a creative director and as a director in general.
yeah.
Because I think obviously there's been examples of great directors, and there's been examples of terrible directors, and somewhere in the
Name them.
I'm good. But I think kind of knowing that, especially if you, so say like somebody who's graduating this June,
Sure.
say they look at your job title like, hey, that's something I want to do. I want to chase after this. I think kind of knowing what that practically looks like and like what you'll actually be doing is managing people rather than creating, and what managing people actually entails gives them a good idea of what that's going to look like. So there's been a lot of things I've pursued. I don't regret anything that I've pursued, but
Not any of them. You don't regret a single
not
thing?
really. No, I'm very grateful for like my curiosity and where it's
Cool.
taken me. But
How's
like,
that? How's that vending machine going?
oh, dude, it's going great, dude. Even that I learned things from. I technically made money. It was like $5.
Oh, there you
but
go.
Yeah,
That's something.
Yeah, it was a season. But I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what it actually looks like when you're there,
Mhm.
and that can be helpful when starting on your journey, to seeing if you're willing to put in the work and actually go through some of those hurdles or some of those friction points to get to where you are now, and to where you will be. So, yeah. Is there anything in your role that you feel like has changed your like lifestyle or like your after work life? I know it's a weird question, but I think sometimes people's jobs can kind of shift their own post-life work or post-work life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm still under a year in this role. So finding out what my rhythm is has taken a little longer than my previous job. Like when I was at the mortgage company, I had a pretty solid rhythm of like, Tuesdays, Thursdays, I play pickleball. I, had my routine after work. At this job, honestly, it's a different kind of workload where sometimes I get home and it's like decision fatigue. And so I just sit and like watch TV. Like I can't even have the energy to like pick a video game and like play it because I don't know which one I want to play. Like it's just, so I'm in a weird season of that right now. Work is not my entire life in this season, just to be clear. It's just the downtime I have now is a little different. And I've not found that right, rhythm.
Yeah.
And it might be a while.
Yeah. One day at a time.
Is that the name of this podcast?
It might be. Maybe that'll be my other podcast.
Yeah. Maybe colon one day at a time.
Candid Careers : one day at a time.
Yeah.
One,
you'll come up with it sometime.
Rung on the ladder. Yeah. At some point we'll figure it
out.
Yeah.
But I will say in this season, like I've like not in at all a arrogant way. Well, maybe it is, but like I'm insanely blessed. I've had the opportunity to go to Africa, with this job and, help people there get hearing healthcare and share their stories, and seeing how little they have and how much like hope they have and how much, joy they have, it makes your problems, not in a comparison where like, oh my goodness, like how pity these people. And I'm not saying pity people. But it's hard to have so much when you've seen someone with so little and be like, my life sucks. Because it doesn't. Then your problems, like you can drown in a foot puddle or you can drown in the ocean. I'm not saying your problems aren't important. They are, like they're your problems. But I don't know. I've had a pretty positive outlook with my lived experience of, having a really bad job and going and seeing people with like absolutely nothing and how grateful they are for the ability to be able to hear. Like I hear, I see, I do all these things that like we take for granted. And I don't know, I'm just incredibly blessed. So yeah. And that's not all from my job, but a lot of it is, it's the engine that allows me to live the life I live.
I think sometimes gratitude can actually give us a more realistic sense of where we are in our perspective, is when you kind of look at all the little different things that have happened in your life and like what you're grateful for, kind of helps you see the world from a different lens.
Yeah. Gratitude's just your attitude with a great perspective.
Yeah. Maybe you should start a Twitter. Yeah.
No, I really just want you to know, genuinely came off the dome because I tried to do one of yours.
I respect it. We should put that on a t-shirt or something.
That I might have stolen it from like Tumblr.
A lot of good quotes.
r/anti-work. Yeah, I do want to end. I don't know if we're ending this, but
we're getting close. I got like one or two more questions I want to ask you, but like go ahead and say whatever.
Well, yeah. I just want everyone here to know that there is a company, that has no debt and is prime for another squeeze, a la 2001. So, just put as much money as you have into GameStop. Truly, this is not a bit. I have like an unfortunate amount of money in GameStop and I truly believe it's going to blow up. So if you guys could join and make it happen a little quicker, that would be great.
Speed up the process.
Yeah. This is not financial advice. But also I'm not a financial advisor. Buy GameStop and so the S&P 500, like the index fund and all the
level out at some point. So is that your second career you're going after, is promoting GameStop stock?
No, no. If that happens, I won't have to have a career. I'll just be a rich dude.
Make it all noise.
You'll never see me again.
Good PSA. Good PSA. Clip that.
Watch The Money Guy on YouTube. They're great as far as like actual financial advice. If you need financial advice, they're pretty good. They're really good.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. They're like a less jerkish Dave Ramsey. Anyway, sorry.
No, more of a broader perspective. Yeah, I do.
Do you need to know how much I make now and all that stuff?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not going to run into your finances. That's for the post.
Because a lot of it is tied up in GameStop. Yeah. To the moon.
Hey, you can do with your money whatever you want to do.
In this podcast, we're going to discover why Roaring Kitty started investing in GameStop and yeah. Anyway, sorry.
That's hilarious.
We should do a podcast on that.
GameStop. I'll just ask a bunch of questions. Just like that time at we got lunch one time. I remember asking a bunch of questions, and I will say I did buy some GameStop stock after that. So.
As you should have, and I'm sure you've made money from it.
The GameStop stops here. No, we'll chat GPT it. Anyways, because we are kind of reaching kind of the end of our time. And I do have a few more questions I think are important. One is regarding AI, which I know we've had this conversation, but just so that people know and kind of can see it, how it impacts your kind of industry. And the second one is just talking about kind of like that person we were talking about before who's graduating in June and doesn't necessarily know what they want to do, and kind of more personality and kind of looking at where they fit into in the job field. It'll make sense when I ask it. But first, AI. How do you think AI will change your job?
My job?
Yeah, directly just your job.
So this is, again, I know nothing when I say what I'm about to say.
But you know your experience.
I'm afraid there are not going to be as many entry-level jobs for the next generation as there are now. And I don't know if it's going to be like a snap like everyone thinks it will. Like, oh man, there's no more creative directors, or no, there's no more videographers, there's no more X, Y, and Z. But I think it's going to be a slow transit, or maybe a quick transition, but it's not going to be a snap where there's just, oh, we don't have anyone to fill this spot because we never hired any entry level people who know about the company. And the only people that have jobs like are the people that are already in. So I am, I'm a little concerned for the next generation to get that first entry level job. I think that's going to make it harder for me to, I don't know with videography if it's going to really make a difference. If I'm going to be real honest, I think the kids in college and high school right now that have ChatGPT, if that's what they use as a crutch, they're going to be so out of their element when they get into the world with like being able to have a conversation or being able to have to write a report or an email. And like, yeah, you can use ChatGPT for it, but like, then you don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Like we need your thoughts. We need your perspectives in the workplace. So if I hire a videographer down the line and all he did or all she did was use ChatGPT all through high school and college to get where they are, I don't know if I'm going to want to hang out with that person. I don't think they're going to be my coworker friend.
Yeah.
That doesn't answer your question. I use it to write emails sometimes.
And make cool apps. I wasn't, you were showing me, that was pretty cool. Okay. I think AI is it's a tool.
It's a tool. Like any tool.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
But it's not an essential.
Yeah.
And I think going back to the little experience thing is using ChatGPT does not give you any experience. There's nothing wrong with it, but you don't necessarily you haven't used that muscle and like that critical thinking.
There's this is going to be a butchered quote from a book that I can't remember what it's called, but the piano is 88 notes or whatever it is, or 88 keys. I don't know. I assume they're different notes.
I should know. I took a piano class in college, but I don't remember any of it.
But like one note is not bad, the other note is not bad. No note is good, but when played next to each other, they can become good or bad. ChatGPT is a note on that. Is it good? Maybe. Is it bad? Maybe. It depends on the context.
Interesting. That was a really good analogy.
Or
quote.
Truly think it was a good analogy.
No, it's one brushstroke on a bigger painting.
Yeah, you should write that in a book, really man.
Should. That's how that's a whole other conversation. But okay, so in your other than writing emails, how do you see AI? Because I remember when we were talking about this first time at lunch a while ago, you had talked about how you think it'll make people way more productive than they are now. So how will it make you? How do you see and how have you been way more productive using AI?
There's bottlenecks, which I think limit that hope a little bit. But I think the people that are going to be really the best of the best will be people that use it as a tool. Like not as people that use it as a crutch, where all they use is ChatGPT or whatever AI. I think the people that are going to be the best are the people that are using it as literally like, okay, I am not strong in this one area. I'm going to try my best to be strong in this area, but like I know my schedule stinks and I know I'm bad at making schedules. I'm going to have my AI assistant make my schedules. Okay, I'm going to stick to it. But it's a tool. It's a people, and every single revolution. It's not like, not revolution. Kind of
like industrial revolution.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of like in every sort of like societal change, it's the people that adapt to the thing that's changing them that do the best. It's not the people that are like, don't use it, don't do it. Like, yeah, use it, but just be smart about it. Yeah. From what I'm hearing, a lot of people are not being smart about it. I don't know if that answered your question. I don't really care.
I mean, a little bit. Good insight. Because I think in your industry, like AI is like a great tool, especially when it comes to like editing and like pitching ideas or like just kind of creating good like boundaries or like things to start maybe a thought process or like a dynamic.
Yeah, I think using it as a sounding board's fine. I think people are better for that kind of stuff. But if you have no one use it as a sounding board, don't let it come up with your ideas, but give it 5 ideas and say, tell me which one's stupid. Yeah. Like, okay, well, let me think about that.
Take a really critical take on this prompt. And
exactly.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's a gray issue. I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
it might be the end of the world, but
Well,
that's fine.
we'll see. We'll see. And the reason why I asked that question is because there are jobs to where AI is taking kind of some of those roles, like graphic design and a few other things. So I was just curious on how like you see that impacting your role in general, which it sounds from like what I'm getting, it sounds like you're not really even worried about that. You're worried about the people who you are potentially hiring and bringing up underneath you.
I work in a very human industry. I reiterate to some of the people that I work with that we need the personal touch. We don't want a robot to do that because that's not what we are.
Mm-hmm.
One of the terms our industry has kind of coined for our cooperative is fluffy tree huggers, which I don't.
What on earth is that?
I don't totally know. I'm pretty new to this company. But I think it means that we are like the outliers. We are the people who care about people. Like we're cozy. We're fluffy. We're tree huggers. I don't
genuine,
know.
Maybe?
Yeah, genuine. I don't know. But I think it is like the human touch. And that's what, for me, I haven't even talked about storytelling, but it all kind of boils down to storytelling for me. People want to connect with people. People want a story that connects with them. And AI can do a fine story, but it can't do a human story.
Amen. AI will never be able to like replace human interaction and human thought and kind of some of that touch.
It can't now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that in 10 years that it can't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Maybe never is too strong a word, but
I what I will say that because there is something like God breathed that like is in all of us that makes us unique that AI can't replicate. It will be its own thing, but it won't be human.
Yeah. Interesting. So in your role, you had mentioned storytelling. This is not necessarily something we hit on, but I do think it's important as a creative director. How do you view storytelling? Broad question, but like, what's your perspective on creating that experience for people?
It's one of the hardest things. I had my first boss at a college, kept saying, humanize the work. You always say, humanize the work. And I didn't know what it meant. I still struggle with what that means, but I tell my videographers that humanize the work. And I think what that means, and I could be corrected one day, but I think what that means is share the people behind it, share their stories. It doesn't have to be about the thing that my thing's rarely about hearing aids. My thing's rarely about, like hearing loss. My thing is about how people's lives are changed, how they're able to connect with their kids, how they're able to like watch TV with their wife, how, lives are changed. It's not about the thing. I mean, that's just a tool it's a means to an end. If it wasn't hearing aids, it would be something else, but it's not the star. The star is like, oh, wow, I'm reconnecting with people. Get your ears checked, people, by the way. Like, it's so important.
PSA.
It's truly, truly important. If you work in a loud industry, if you are doing anything, one of the first videos I did at this place was called Rears and Ears. When you get your colonoscopy, get your ears checked as a baseline.
Crazy title, by the way.
Yeah.
If you didn't get anything from this podcast, I hope you got that.
Yeah. No, there's studies that show hearing loss leads to, dementia, to other things. I'm not an audiologist. Yeah. I don't know any of this. I hear them talk about it all the time.
But you hear the stories.
I hear the stories. I humanize the work.
Yeah, you humanize the work. I was saying, like, if you're not able to hear, you're not necessarily able to connect with people.
It's a connection thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, yeah, there's exceptions. Like, I'm not saying you can't have connections. Yeah. But it's one of the big connections.
Yeah. Very good. Last question. So taking the perspective of somebody graduating this June, 19-year-old, 18-year-old, looking at your job, what do you think they necessarily need to have? Or if somebody was thinking about getting into this, what would you tell them to do first? And what would you tell them to like work on or grow in a skill?
You don't need to have it all figured out, but if you're going to take out tens of thousands of dollars of debt to follow something that you haven't figured out, you better figure out at least the next step. I didn't think I would probably ever be in the role I'm in now as far as like a creative director. But I knew enough by the time I got to college, like before I started, I knew I wasn't going to be a teacher. By the time I got to college, I knew I was going to do video production. But I knew enough by that point to put my eggs in that basket, and it's okay to change your mind. Like the only failure I think for college is if you go through, 3 or 4 years and you're like, I don't really know if I want to do this. Figure out if you want to do that. That's your response. No one's going to tell you, oh, you should do it. And if they do, like, don't listen to them. You need to figure that out if it's what you want to do. Don't just chase money. Chase like that work-life balance. Please don't go into debt if you're not sure. Like, and it's okay to not be sure, but like, figure it out.
Be very
Truly
intentional.
Yeah. Like if you are in a class, like what bothered me, and this would be a quick story. I would be like in media production classes with media majors and they didn't want to do it. I'm like, then change your major or drop out, like truly. And then it's okay to drop out if that's what you need to do. Save your money. Figure it out. There's nothing wrong not going to college. Totally. Like, I think you could do what I do, a lot of it, at least the video side, if you just studied really good on like YouTube and like went out and like actually did videos. I would, in a heartbeat, I would hire a good videographer who didn't go to college.
But maybe had a good portfolio.
That would be the only thing. Like, even if they went to college and they had a bad portfolio, I would not hire them. I would only hire people that are good at the work that they're there to do. Some jobs need a degree. Others do not. Figure that out. Like, that's my advice. But you don't need to, like, if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. But no, if you are a young adult getting into the workplace, you don't need to have all the answers, but just try to figure out your next step and don't waste too much money doing it.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Ryan.
It's pretty insightful.